Oh, hi there and welcome back to 3R Guitars. We've gone from cold weather now over here to like wet and windy. I guess I should be glad we're not further up north where it's even worse. Anyway, what were we doing on this last? We just really basically touched on the frets because the weather was too bad to carry on with the finishing. Well, funnily enough today, although it's wet and windy and all that, it's actually quite warm, so I think I can do a little bit on the finishing and then I'll explain what I'm doing. I just wanted to have a look at this. It's just light effect sort of thing. I've been unsure how to sort of finish this. I mean, it's definitely going to be like a relic sort of thing, you know, aged finish, as I've explained before. See if I can get that with actually not so much shine on it. The thing is personally, I actually really like a sort of a kind of theatrical relic that's a little bit over the top. I don't know, people will go, oh god, it's too bad. That's what I personally like. So I've been looking at pictures online of like vintage and aged, not aged, but vintage gold tops. And I've kind of come up with what I want to do. I want this top to go darker, to like an almost like toffee coloured top, not toffee in the sense of opaque or anything like that. I still want it to be clear, but I want it to almost have a bit more of a like golden brown texture, like sun, golden brown over it, such that when I wear through the lacquer, the gold will look lighter underneath. So say if I've got a crack going across, one of those trace cracks going across here or something, and just on this arm where I sand it away, I'll get a little feather edged of lighter gold sort of thing before it blends into the darker sort of toffee coloured gold sort of thing. So that's what I want to go for. The other thing that's very attractive, I think, on vintage gold tops is the greening that happens, because basically the lacquer is affected by the copper in the metal filings sort of thing, the crushed metal that does the metallic paint. So you tend to get that greening sort of thing, and that especially happens in the cracks. Now when it comes to this, is just, there's no lacquer on this at the moment, this is just the gold. So what I want to do is get like a coat of lacquer on this, and really the first coat of lacquer, because it's next to the gold, will be the greeny one sort of thing. Now to do this, to get it absolutely right, this is the lacquer. Now if you look underneath here, it's gold in the pot, and what this is the gold lacquer I used to spray the gold finish with. But over the week or 2 weeks that, you know, something like that I've sprayed this ago, this was the tub of lacquer, and I've let the gold particles settle out of it. Now you can see that the remaining lacquer in here is now green, because it's been it's been polluted by the copper. So if I get a little bit of whitish wood, this is fairly clean, you might be able to see that now has gone green, and it's actually the natural. It's much better than trying to mix a green dye in there or something, because this is the real stuff. You know, you've got the green on there. So what I want to do now is decant this green lacquer out of there and put it in another pot, so I can go over this gold with that green, and I'll see what it looks like. It may not be quite enough, but what I can do is when I spray it, I'll see what it looks like, and then, you know, if I think, oh yeah, I really like that, I can spray around this area where the arm would be a little bit heavier, because that's, for some reason, you know, might be acid from your hand or something, affects the lacquer a bit more. I'll decant this into another pot, and then I'll use that to spray a coat on here. So let's do that. I'll get back to you with that when we're ready to go. Well, hello there. Just to recap, yesterday, you know, I tried spraying, and yeah, I gave up straight away. The weather was, though it was raining, and it was just too bad. So I just did a little bit of a test spray and just decided to call that off, and we did a little bit of fretting instead. So I've got up to the 9th fret on here, but today it's though it's really windy, we've got storm Bert, it's actually really dry and warm, so it's pretty good. So what I was talking about yesterday, on this block that I used to put on the end of the guitar to put it in its spraying jig, this is the sort of effect I'm actually after, and I don't know if you can see it on there. And you see this gold along the bottom here is rather more toffee coloured sort of thing, and then it goes lighter on the top. So what I want to do is actually get the guitar down to this copper colour, more coppery colour, and then as I wear it away to do the aging, get it to the lighter gold again. And I think you can see the gradation of it there, and I actually saw that and I thought, yes, that's exactly what I want to go for, that kind of thing. So but first of all, I want to get this green on it. I don't know whether it will be successful or not, but you know, if I put a layer of green lacquer over the gold now, you know, I'm sure when I go and put tinted, you know, darker tinted clear lacquer on top, the green will disappear. But as I sand it away to do the aging, then it may come through again. It may be a total waste of frigging time, but we'll go from there, sort of thing, and see what happens. Good. Well, hi there. I think I've basically wasted my time with this green attempt, sort of thing. This is it with the green sprayed on. I can certainly, I mean, here's the test piece. Here's, you know, you can see the green on there, but when it goes over the gold, it doesn't really show very much. I mean, I don't know if it picks up on the camera, but I've concentrated spraying like round here with the green, and a bit on there, and a bit up here and around there where you'd get it with the controls, sort of thing, and I can definitely see a little bit of green on it. The thing is, I don't really want to go too heavy with it in case you know, I make a mess of it. I might now, after seeing it in the light, I might put a little bit more on, because I actually like the little bit there. That looks really nice. And down here, I was just afraid of it looking like really like fake, sort of thing. So I will spray a little bit more on here, and then so I'll do that now, and we'll see what it comes out like. Okay, I just put a bit more green on it now, and actually I'm liking that. You can just see there's a little hue of green around the areas where you would normally get it. I've put a little bit around the controls and around there. Whether you'll see it when the gold gets darkened a bit with some more yellow over it, I don't know, but I'm actually thinking that looks quite good now. So I'm going to leave it as that, and to be honest, I'm just going to get on with the fret. Hi there, welcome back to 3R Guitars, and these Goldtop Les Paul builds. Yesterday we were doing the just doing the fretwork really. I mean, bit ahead of time, but you know, something I could do when I wasn't spraying anything, sort of thing. And we also sprayed the slight green. I mean, I really, I don't know if it shows up under the camera, but you've got like a green hue on the paint here and over here, and you can see the green that I sprayed on there. That's on white wood obviously, but this is on gold up here, and you can kind of see it shades in, and there's a slight bit of the green sprayed there as well over the top. Now I'm just uploading part I think I'm just uploading part 12 of the build, which is fitting the necks actually, so obviously I'm a bit ahead. And you know, the thing is, I've looked through some of my comments and not comments, but what I've said and stuff like that, and you know, I just would like to emphasize, you know, thanks very much for all the comments and the likes and all that. It's all positive stuff, and sometimes I look at myself and I kind of think, who's that boring guy doing guitars? Plus the fact I come across a bit like as though I know everything as well, which you know, I'm only kind of recounting how I build these things and whatnot, and I'm not, you know, far from an expert, so please, you know, don't take everything I do on these as, oh well, that's the way you know, Les Paul should be built or anything like that. I mean, I'm, you know, okay, I'm a good amateur builder. It's always been an extended hobby for me, but the reason why I build these things is because I just love them so much, and I wish I was a better player, but there we go. So that's that. So like I say, you know, like please, you know, do your own research and stuff like that. It's all interesting stuff anyway. And not all what you read or see, including me on YouTube, is the definitive answer to things. So there we go. But what I'm going to do now is I want to shade this top with a tinted lacquer to get somewhere close to these shades, but certainly not as dark as that. And where you get a problem now is that, right, I'm going to use a tinted lacquer with yellow and brown in it just to get this more of a toffee shade. And the idea is when I come to relicing it, when I wear that away, you'll see the lighter and maybe some of the green gold along the worn edges and stuff. But the problem is that, you know, at some point I'm going to be taking all this masking off and spraying the whole guitar with a tinted lacquer, you know, because I want to get the bindings a bit more dirty and dark looking and stuff like that. So there'll be, you know, and that lacquer will go all over the guitar, obviously apart from the fretboard. But you know, the thing that's going to happen then is this is going to go even darker. So it's a real balancing act and look-see, and believe me, you can end up fucking the whole thing up and having to start again, especially with the Goldtops. I think are really difficult to, not necessarily difficult to spray. You know, the actual physical part of spraying them is not any different than any other damn paint, apart from you can't sand it. But you know, you can easily overstep the mark with it, and you know, it's I mean, I've had a fair amount of experience doing Goldtops, and I know too damn well that you want to try and stay light because you can always darken it, but you can't lighten it once you've done it too dark. So I'm going to try and get somewhere towards these darker shades. I mean, maybe something like this down here, I don't know, but I think for camera purposes, you can see this is the gold we started with no lacquer on it, and then we put darker lacquer over here. So I want to get somewhere between here and here. If I ended up with a gold that dark, I wouldn't be too upset, but I want to end up with something a bit lighter than that overall. So there we go. And even when you put clear lacquer on, when you put clear cellulose lacquer on, it tends to richen the colour up a little bit. So even, you know, even when you've finished with the tinted lacquers, you've still got that, you know, the clear lacquer will still add a bit of richness to it as well. So there we go. I'm going to get preparing this. First of all, I've got green around the binding here, so I'm going to just scrape this green off. I mean, I only put the green on very light anyway, so there's not too much of it, but you can just see there where, you know, I'm just cleaning up around here. You know, I don't want to spray over the green lacquer, or otherwise it'll be, as you might say, like locked in over the you know, over the under the new coat of lacquer, which I don't want. So anyway, I'm going to find my glasses, get scraping that, and then get back to you. Cheers. Right, hi there. I've been mixing up some lacquer, just shading some lacquer. So it's just cellulose lacquer sort of thing. And this stick that I'm using to mix it with had the original gold in it, and when I put it in this lacquer and started mixing it, look at that colour. I absolutely love it. And if we put that along here, that's where I want to kind of get to. I mean, I don't know whether that will show up in the camera. That this looks dark to me on my phone, but that's the sort of gold shade that I want. That I think just looks really, really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to test spray the test spray. It's actually a bit thick at the moment. I mean, going over this sort of thing, when you mix it, I like to have it like you can see when it runs off the stick. It's like just a sort of a continual. I prefer it like it's just a fraction thick, because I want to spray it on very thin, because I don't want to overdo the darkness of it. I'd rather go more coats. I just want to splash more thinners in it. And like I say, this seems to be the slightly annoying thing with just a little bit. Just the slightly annoying thing with cellulose paints, how you buy them now, the lacquers, they come to you in all different thicknesses. Right, so what I'll do now, oh, that looks a bit thin now. Just put a bit more lacquer in it. Put a bit more lacquer in it. But you can actually see how, like, you know, this comes out like jelly almost. Okay, that should have thickened it up a little bit. I mean, like I say, I'll buy my cellulose lacquer. I've got a few suppliers, but only from eBay sort of thing. And all this talk about, like, oh well, you know, you want the lacquer without the plasticizers in it and all that. I haven't found any difference in any of them. That's about what I want. So right, test piece first, but got my trusty little spray gun here, which I really like. So that's what it looks like in the spray gun, but that's only arbitrary sort of thing. So what it comes out the spray gun, that's like is important. So look, we've got that mixed up now and ready to go. And what I'll do is on this like test plank now, I've got the kind of, you can see that's the shade, that bit there, that's on the guitar at the moment, so I'll mask that off, or I'll probably leave that there actually, mask the bottom one off because it's nearly exactly the same, and spray this with the tinted lacquer, and then we can have a direct comparison then. I mean, one thing you might have noticed that I've not been doing anything on the all gold one. I mean, that is actually for someone. So what I really want to do is, you know, if I've got all these test patches and things like that born from this guitar, or if the guy looks at this and goes, wow, that's exactly what I want, then I'll know what I'm doing. If I'm doing, I can't really do the other one till I've got his opinion on what he likes, sort of thing. So anyway, I'll nip in my spray booth, my crappy old shed at the back, and come back to you. Well, okay, here's where I've sprayed now, and it's, I mean, again, it's probably not going to come out the shade in the camera, and I'm not really seeing that as being enough. It's not, I think it needs more yellow in it. It's just looking more of like sort of, you know, it's just really not doing it for me there. It's not got enough dye in it, so I want to go darker with it, sort of thing. I think a bit just more of the same dyes in there, sort of thing. Yeah, I don't, that's just not, needs almost a touch of red in it, I think. So yeah, back to square one. I might actually, I'll empty my spray gun back in here, and because I think it's on the right track, but there's just not enough balls to the dye, basically. So I'm thinking perhaps that you've got to be really careful with red in dyes because it is so strong. But I think what I'll do is, I've got some mahogany dye, you know, that's a browny red sort of thing, and I think I'll put that in there, and we'll see what that, I mean, we're still doing the test panel, so we're not doing the guitar. So let me get some red, put that in, and get a bit more prepared, and we'll spray another test bit. Right, now we're cooking on gas at last. Ta-da! That's what I wanted. That's the sort of look I wanted to it, and that's how I imagined it being when I started off. So you can see there's like this kind of slightly green tinted band around here, and then like we've got like the green tint under there, which just looks a bit darker, and there. But yeah, that's what I was after, and if anything, it's still fractionally on the light side, but I wouldn't mind if it ended up that colour. And also I've got some green in there, and I'm sure when I start relicking and just like going over the surface with sandpaper a little bit, or you know, wet and dry, the green will come through a little bit in patches more. So I'm really happy with that now. After, you know, this is the amazing thing with spraying and stuff like that, you know, you can look at it and think, oh god, yeah, I fucked it up, you know, and then you just fiddle with it a little bit, and bingo, yeah, it's a bingo. Sorry, my Inglorious Bastards quote there. But I love, yeah, I'm loving the way that looks. I'm absolutely, just look at the colour of that, it's great, isn't it? I mean, and believe me, I'm not pretending to be any expert here, it's just suck it and see, sort of just try, and then you know, yeah, pleased with that. Pleased with that. That's rock and roll, that one is. So after really worrying about it on the last coat sort of thing, get this on now, and that really has done the business. And this green is funny round here because you look at it and it disappears completely when I'm looking like that. When I come over here, it's a lot more, it shows a lot more just with the shine. But I mean, it'll all calm down a little bit when it gets like, you know, polished and whatnot. But really happy with that now. So that can wait, sit and set. You know, I'm really anxious to get the bits on it just to see what it will look like. How tacky is it? Oh. Still a bit tacky, but let's get some pickup covers. I want to see. And where's my box of bits? Got to be really careful here, but I just can't resist. Put those on the marks. I just think that's going to look great. Oh, great, good. Pleased with that. Success. I feel it's going to be a good looking guitar, I think. So hope you've enjoyed that little journey, and certainly a journey for me, and it always is when I do gold tops. So let that set now, and then we can start getting the final coats of lacquer on it. Like I say, I've got that lacquer already mixed up. I'm going to spray that on the back as well, because I don't think it'll affect the brown on the back too much, because it's kind of that colour anyway. And hopefully it'll when I mask off that, I'm gonna be spraying the edge of the plastic binding as well, so that'll tint that a bit darker, hopefully not too dark. Yeah, and then be good. So excellent. Thank you for watching, and sorry about my slightly giddy excitement, but excitement and relief, believe me, just to get it that copper. That I wanted that nearly coppery gold shade, which I think has been really successful there. So thumbs up. Next video shortly. Don't know whether we got any of that, whether I'd actually pressed the record button. So we're back on this short little videos doing the spraying. Got the colour on the top now that I'm really happy with, and I sprayed the same lacquer on a bit of binding, spare binding I've got, and I went light with the spray gun here and heavier up here, and you see, but I think it's just like too dark really, you know, it's too close to the gold. So I'll be mixing up some fresh lacquer with less tint in it. What I'll probably do is just tip a little bit of the original lacquer into the mixing pot and then dilute it with some clear. And this is, you know, I often get, you know, not often, but sort of now, you know, get asked, can I spray somebody's guitar and all that, and you know, when people like, and I tell them the price sort of thing, I mean, especially if you've got to like scrape an original finish off or something, it's gutty work, and B, it gets very expensive actually. People don't realise the price of cellulose paint by the time you know you buy mixing, even things, mixing cups, tack cloths, panel wipe, thinners, the lacquer, even the clear lacquer, the colour, sand and sealer, you know, all those products you've got to buy. And nowadays, especially in cellulose, they're devilishly expensive. So yeah, and you know, you do waste a lot of it because, you know, as you've seen with this, you're mucking about with it just to get things right. So It can be an expensive job, but you know, if you want to get it right, you want to get it right. So anyway, I'll mix up some lacquer. I've cleaned up the binding again on the edge. That's nice and clear. So just basically got the back to do and stuff now, and you know, we'll get on with it because the weather's so nice today. I want to try and get some coats on, sort of thing. So that would be good. Yep. So onwards and upwards. Okay, well, after spraying the back with this slightly tinted lacquer, again you can see what sort of colour the backs come out. It's not very well represented in here because I've got no direct light on it. Be nice to do this outdoors, but you can see now how nice the colour of the binding is. We've just got the binding yellowed a little bit, just with this layer of lacquer now, and that looks really nice. You know, you can't get a good impression of the gold. Well, hi there, just a close of play of this spraying day. Obviously I've got the thing standing here and the hanging from the ceiling in the shed setting. I've got the heater on as well, so that should help it. So what I've been doing for my last hour of the day before things get dark is I've been working on this tailpiece, and as you can see, I've spent about an hour polishing and basically starting off with 180 grit paper over the bridge here, and then going down to like 1200 grit, and then some polish. So it actually, you know, I've taken out all the file scratch marks. I mean, I'm not after something looking perfect. I mean, you know, if you look at the original, it's not exactly you know, let's say it's clunky. So this has got to look the same, which it is, although it is aluminium, but at least now it's got all the tooling marks out of it. I've filed them all off and polished it up a little bit. Might do a little bit more, but I think that will look, just looking at it on the guitar, you know, it looks much more in keeping now. I didn't want it to look like a DIY bit that was stuck on there, so just done that in my pile of parts there. So yep, I think that's it, all done today. Thank you for watching, and tomorrow, like I say, if the weather is nice, I'd love to get the final coats of lacquer on. I think 2 coats totally clear lacquer over the whole lot, 2 light coats will do it, and then that'll be buttoned up sort of thing, and I'll be happy with that then, because I haven't got to worry about the cold weather. The second one, like I say, the second gold one I'm doing, I'm going to actually leave that aside till I finish this, and till I more or less finish this, and I can show the person who wants it, who may be buying it, hopefully, cross fingers, who may be buying it, he can sort of pick the shade of gold and the look he wants, because like he actually said, you know, it's very difficult. He couldn't pick which one he wanted, you know, took it away, and he said, you know what, I'm just going to leave it to you and do what you like, and I'll come back and pick one I like the most, sort of thing. But personally, I don't think this one will be for sale. I just like it too much with the, you know, all the original bits on it and all that. So yeah, there we go. I mean, I'm just looking at it now, the edge on the binding, it's got a lovely light around there, fading into darker. By the time I scrape that top off a little bit and sand it down, I think that'll look really nice. So there we go. Just little bits are beginning to look pretty damn nice now. So there we are. I mean, I've actually got, you know, on here, I'm just looking, this is actually a bit dirty, this binding here, but I'm not really worried, because kind of accidental bits sometimes are the bits that make it look really good. So there we go, take it in, and thank you very much for putting up with me for another God knows how long in a video, and speak soon, guys. Well, hi there, and welcome back to 3R Guitars. We finished spraying this quite a few days ago now, probably getting on for a week ago actually, and I'm like well happy with it. I was just walking across the garden with it, looking at it out in the daylight, and I love the colour both back and front. I think it's one of the nicest looking ones I've done. Colour wise, I've always been tempted to go for a more bronzy top, but like been kind of just basically struggling with myself to do it, sort of thing, to risk it. But I'm really happy with that. I think it just looks gorgeous. Now I'm not going to wait too long before flattening it off. I mean, obviously it's got the very slight orange peel as a result of the spraying, and you really need to flatten it off and polish it now. I like to do it like not too long after spraying. The paint, I mean, I can feel the paint, and I can't dent it with my fingernail, obviously. I mean, it's pretty damn thin anyway. But if you wait a long time before sanding it back to polish it, then the lacquer gets really hard, and it's just harder work. I mean, if you quickly go over it now with the lacquer still not kind of rock hard kind of thing. I mean, cellulose takes it dries over years, and that's why you get the craze cracking in it. It dries, and as it dries it shrinks. That's one reason why you get the craze cracking in. And also when it gets sort of 100% set or something like that, you can, I mean, that's a difficult one, because I think cellulose is more like a half-life sort of thing. I don't think it ever dries, because I mean, if you put cellulose thinners on it, you'll melt it again, sort of thing. But basically, it craze cracks because it hardens, it shrinks, so it pulls apart a little bit. It basically stresses the wood moves underneath, and temperature and all that kind of thing. But anyway, with it at this hard now, I can do an initial polish on the thing just to get the orange peel off. And I'm going to start off with 1000 grit wet and dry, see how that does, and then we'll go from there. And because as you sand it, you should see the kind of the orange peel come off, and you'll see dull bits and shiny bits, speckly sort of thing. But you want to get it all basically dull, so that means that the whole top has been flattened off, and then polish it back up. But don't go nuts with it. Don't go using like I definitely think 1000 grit is plenty to start off with. I mean, I've got some 600 grit here as well, and I'm dubious about using that actually. But wet and dry, and then go over it. I mean, basically I've got like a jar of water here, and I'll put the paper in it, and like just start sanding it, and see where it comes out. I mean, if you start off with 1000 and just see what happens, and if you can see, when you dry it off, that you're starting to get I mean, this I can tell it's sanding fine, because I can actually hear it cut the sandpaper cutting into the lacquer. And try and do it in straight lines. I always think that if you start seeing like circles on it when you polish it and stuff, it just doesn't look as nice. So I tend to try and do it in straight lines. So I'm going to just pop in and get a paper towel and try and show you. Okay, well, I've been over this now. I've actually found some 2000 grit, So I've gone from 1,000 grit to 2,000 grit to 3,000 grit on this, and you can actually see that with the 3,000 grit, it is actually starting to get a shine now. But it really doesn't take long when the lacquer is not set like concrete. So it's well worth doing at this stage. You might have to do it lightly again, sort of thing, as the lacquer settles a bit, but you know, it's usually all right. So what I do now is I use something called a cut-in compound, which is, so we're at 3,000 grit now. I use a cut-in compound, and you just use this stuff. It's just readily available for car polishing and stuff. But one thing, you know, you may have noticed when I was spraying, that I do tend to mix the paint on the thin side. You know, like you saw it running off the stick sort of thing and dripping, and a lot of people might think, oh, that's really thin, but I only put thin coats on. I don't like try and pile the paint up or anything like that. I mean, to me, you should do that at the primer stage if you're actually using a primer or a sanding sealer or whatever. You know, you use those to get the paint flat, to get the surface flat and blemish free, and then, you know, when you put colour coats on and a lacquer coat, you're not looking to fill anything. And the advantage was doing it thin down quite a bit is that you do put a thinner layer on, so it dries quicker. If you start trying to put it on too thick, it will just run. And there lies the problem. If you are putting really thin paint on, a lot of thinning down in it, you do really risk the the possibility of runs, which are a bit of a pain in the arse. I mean, of course you can sand them out, but generally they take days and days and days to dry because they're so thick. So but there's many ways you can spray. Like, that's how I do it. You know, I won't build up thick colour coats or anything like that. It will just be thin, and you know, my levelling up down is done with sanding sealer and a lot of sanding sort of thing. You've seen that. So what I'll do here is I'll just polish this up in front of your eyes. It's usually pretty quick as you've gone down to 3,000 grit already. And the thing is, as well, is I dislike, or I would thoroughly recommend, never touching a cellulose body with an electric sander, with an electric polisher. The paint is much too fragile for that. I mean, it's whether I'm heavy-handed or whether it is actually the fact. But you know, if you put an electric sanding mop on this and sort of run it up to the edge of the pickups, you'd take the lot off, or I would. I mean, there might be people more skilled than me with that, but you know, modern paints are okay, polyester and all that kind of thing are fine with that, because they're a lot thicker and they're a lot tougher. But you know, if I do this half of the body, then you'll see the difference between the freshly sprayed half and this. I mean, this G10 cutting compound is just about fine. Of course you can, I think they sell it in Halfords. I mean, I buy it from Amazon or online or something, but it's good stuff. T-cut will do the same, but I think T-cut would be a bit slower, but I actually think that'll probably be okay now, and because we've basically taken time to, oh, it's looking lovely. It's a bit smeary because I've got this rag now is covered in cutting compound. Try and find a smooth bit, a dry bit. I can finish it off with my old pullover. There we go. Don't tell the missus. I mean, it's not a gleaming shine, but this just shows you what now, you know, you can actually see the difference between the two sides. You know, you've got the freshly sprayed orange peely sort of look on that side, and then the smooth finish look there. I mean, that's plenty polished up enough for a like a relic finish. It's perfectly flat. I can't see any like sign of the spraying in it, which you can just maybe catch there where I go from what transition from the polished side to the non-polished side, and I can feel it on my finger, just little nibs and stuff. And here it's just like glass. And the thing is that, you know, we've achieved that just basically because of being real fussy with the preparation. There's no substitute for preparation with finishing. So there we go. I think that just looks superb. So there we are. You know, you've got a nice, I'll get it really close up. It's got a nice finish on there, and it's not thick. You know, I hate thick finishes with these modern paints on guitars, but that is not thick. You know, you can tell that as well. Doesn't look like a Werther's original sort of thing. But yeah, so that's that, and there's not much more to it than that. A bit of elbow grease, but like I say, spraying with thin paint, careful of the runs, will save you time when you're polishing, because the surface is not so rough. And do it sort of, you know, once the paint is you know, dig your fingernail in a bit of the paint sort of thing where you can't see it. And if you can dent it, then, you know, don't polish it. But if you can't dent it, it's okay to polish, you know, and then it's just less elbow grease. I mean, you know, I've more or less done that all on camera, and it's literally taken me well under an hour just to do that half. So I'll get on and do the other side now. I don't like doing a whole guitar at once because it's just a ball ache. But yeah, we'll get this done, that side now, and the gold top. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that. You know, and I think it's, you know, I keep putting this on because I just love it. You know, it's just going to look cool, I think. But there we go. Get back to you. Well, here we go. I've now done the complete top, and it really didn't take that long. Now, I have to remember that you know, I always intended to relic this guitar, and some of the faults in the paintwork would be very upsetting if you were going after like a perfect finish. But, you know, as I said, I haven't got a dedicated proper spray booth with dust extraction and shit like that. I've just got, as I showed you, my other little crappy shed. So there are slight faults in this top. I can actually like just see one there. I don't really know what it is. Something peculiar on the gold or whatever. But there looks, I mean, it's so fractional. Yeah, I can see something there, and I don't quite know what it is. And I can also see something here as well, and that was probably a result of, you know, you're spraying basically in a shadow sort of thing. So you have the spray gun pointing this way to get right into the neck. And anyway, it's absolutely smooth to the touch, but there's definitely something under the finish there or whatever. But, you know, we are doing this as a relic, so you know, any of those bits, I mean, I can just put a chip on there, you know, like chip the paint off a little bit as I'm going to. There's also a bit here that will be under the bridge, but you know, that's a fault obviously, and there's a little knock in there as well. And all these things, if you were doing a perfect finish, you'd have to get them you'd have to get them out, obviously. You'd have to sand and respray or whatever. But and there's also like there's little bits in the paint, and I know they were spits from the spray gun, those two little dots there, and they've not come out. But like I say, the pick guard goes over there. Well, the pick guard probably missed that, but I can just put a few like digs in there, and like that'll be fine. So, like I say, I'm not going after a perfect finish, and the odd little chip and stuff like that will just be, the odd little mark will just be built in, sort of thing. I mean, the pick guard may well cover that there, but I can, it's where your hand goes when you play, so there's going to be a bit of damage there anyway, and after 70 years of the bloody guitar being used. And also you can see one of the things to be careful of, and I'm not worried about it like now at all because it's going to be a relic, but can you see just on this little bridge post the paint has just raised a little bit, and what that is water from sanding has gone down into the hole and gone along the wood grain and lifted it a little bit. And equally you may well get that here, and I can feel it just over that like knob hole there, sort of thing. And like I'm not worried about it at all, because to me it will just look better, it will just like crack a little bit, which is what everybody expects. Now if you were doing that, if you were wet sanding this guitar and it was perfect, like paint the potholes, the inside edge of the potholes with a sanding sealer, and give it a couple of coats, and equally drip sanding sealer down those so it seals the wood up. Also around the pickup edges and things, sometimes if you you can see there's not much gold sprayed there at all, and it's probably not bare wood, it's probably got sanding sealer on it, but just as a safety, paint around there, with something to stop the water ingress into the wood. I mean, for me it's great because it starts the relicking process, sort of thing, but no worries. But anyway, they're the two, like, you can see how it's beginning to look now, and yeah, wow, I'm just really pleased with that. So it's pretty cool, and I can just get on now, sand the back, start doing the same on the back, but it's not something I ever do in one go because it's just a complete ball ache, just sanding. It's just a ball ache. So yeah, we'll just carry on, do bits and pieces of it, and then I'll bring you back when it's all done. You know the process now anyway, so let's go from there, eh? Well, hi there. I must admit I've been feeling a bit rough the last couple of days with some touch of the lurgy or something, but it's actually worked out quite well because I haven't, the weather's not been conducive to doing much else, and just continuing with sanding and polishing this 53 Les Paul, which yeah, you can do just as well if you're not feeling great, so managed to do that, and I've really finished all the polishing now. I mean, it may need a little bit more, but really happy with it. It's got a nice flat shine on it now, and you can see then what I'm really liking is the difference between doing an as new finish and a relic finish is I'm certainly not adverse about sanding off some of the colour around the edges, so you get like lighter bits where it's worn, and it's kind of natural when you're sanding that. I mean, you can see like there it's a bit lighter and it's just looking a bit more blotchy and stuff, and I just think it's looking really nice. There's the top now, and so I can put that away now to set for well, probably before I start any of the relicking, probably honestly leave it set for a couple of months really. I'll probably fit it all up and bring you back with videos for that so I can keep going, but basically we're there with it. And the thing with the finishing is that down there, the thing, so you can see it, thing with the finishing is, at this stage of polishing, you really get rewarded big time for the amount of sanding you did before spraying and all that kind of thing. You really get it all back now, because the polishing, you know, it polishes flat really easily, and like you know, like I say, it's you get big payback for your patience with all the painting and the sanding before applying the lacquer and stuff. And it's kind of weird with cellulose, because I mean, I know this is a super thin finish, which I really like, although there's like probably 5 coats of lacquer on it, but it's all thin. You saw how thin I mixed it, and then it's all sanded back, and you know, it's such a different finish from modern guitars. I mean, I frequently got asked to refinish modern Strats and things like that. I mean, Gibson have always used cellulose on their Les Pauls anyway, but Fender certainly haven't stuck to cellulose. They changed to polyester and you know, other like twin pack like lacquers, and the difference is that cellulose dries. It's either by evaporation, you know, the solvent evaporates out of the paint. That's why you get the smell for like months and months and months and maybe years. But you know, with a twin pack paint, it's a chemical reaction that makes it dry. And I won't beat about the bush. I think they're flipping horrible. I really do think it's a horrible finish. But when I take a twin pack paint off, the only thing that will actually attack it is heat, and then you start pulling it off, and you know, you get a scraper underneath the edge, and you think, okay, and then this big huge section will just, you know, maybe a piece about that big will just come off completely, you know, just like a sheet. And it can be, you know, 1.5 mm thick, even thicker in places, and they have a real problem with getting it to adhere. I mean, do you remember the Fender necks that all the finish came off over the marker dots and stuff? That was a recall thing, and if you took your neck back and that had happened to it, they just give you a new neck. And that was, you know, that's twin pack lacquer for you. And generally, you know, when you take the twin pack lacquer off, the wood underneath is really rough, but it's consistently rough. It's not like just a rough bit of wood. So they obviously need the mechanical adhesion quality there. But cellulose isn't a bit like that, and we all know what cellulose is like because we've seen old guitars sort of thing, and it's the only stuff I use. And not because, you know, oh yes, vintage and all that, it's the only stuff I've ever bloody used. I mean, back when I sprayed cars in like the 70s and 80s, that was what you bought, you know, the other paints weren't available. And anyway, so there we go, we down. Now I can put this back in the airing cupboard and just leave it to set for like I say, a good few months. So I'll be bringing it out. I'll probably, you know, I haven't bought the electronics or anything yet, so I need to get switch, pots, the braided wiring, I don't know what else do I need. The tuners, single line Clouson tulip tuners, yeah, and we'll be all good, and call you back when I'm doing that, I guess. So we're coming to the end of it now, but like I say, I'm delighted with it. I absolutely am. It's great. So be nice to, I mean, I might, before I start relicking it sometimes, sorry to keep on, I like to do it with the whole guitar finished, because, you know, you can see the overall effect sort of thing. So there we go. Anyway, thank you very much for putting up with me. Well, hi there folks, and welcome back to 3R Guitars and this ongoing 53 Les Paul saga. So we've basically finished all the paintwork on on the wood grain back one. So my buddy came round and had a look at them, loved them both. Now I've confused him and he likes both of them. So tragic for me, eh? But it's really nice to talk to somebody else about them and look over them and see things. And he noticed the bits. I mean, both these guitars, if you don't remember me saying, were taken away to this guy who knows far more about vintage Gibsons than I do. And he looked at them and pointed out a few little things with them that he felt wasn't wrong, but wasn't the norm kind of thing. So I addressed those, and we did a bit more sanding and a bit more carving and things like that. Mainly it was around the neck heel area and around this sort of up about sort of thing. But and the thing is that the eye and the hands catch things quite easily, and you've only got to change something a fraction and an absolute fraction and it looks completely different. And then my buddy came around last night and looked at it and he said, "Oh, you've addressed those like bits that so and so was talking about." And I said, yeah, done that. And he was like, yeah, you can, and it literally was a fraction. It's fractions, and like then but it's noticeable, and it's really, really nice to have another opinion, and it's nice to step away from them for a little while and go back. And I've come back to this now to do this gold one, and I've looked at the gold on it, and I really like it, but I'm not sure. I think it's right. It's got more faults on it, on the gold, than the woodback one, but there's a lot more gold on it, and I really like how it's come out, colour wise and all that kind of thing. And I honestly think, if you were doing a perfect finished one, you'd sand it all down and spray the gold again. But I honestly think, I have seen all gold Les Pauls, and they are actually, in my opinion, they are actually quite, they are quite rough sort of thing. I don't know, they just look like that. I don't know whether it's because of the sheen of the gold and everything like that and whatnot. So I'm gonna leave it as it is. Like, there are a few bits I'd like to sand again and do again, but that would be, that would be pushing for perfection sort of thing. And these aren't going to be like that. They're going to be like relic guitars. So I'm not going to say I think I'll get away with it. Certainly if I put lacquer on it and something like that and I don't like it, then I'm going to, I'm going to respray again. But I mean, I honestly think it will be fine. I don't think I'll have any problems with it. It's just when you're spraying the whole guitar gold, there's an awful lot of, when you're just spraying the top, you can just do the top, walk away all nice, and when you're doing everything, it's a lot to do, and it's quite sort of quite a task sort of thing, especially when you haven't got a proper paint shop. But yeah, let's just go for it, I think, with the clear lacquer and stuff. So the first thing is I want to tape off the binding and just give it that dusting of green over it, and we don't want the green on the binding. And then I'm going to leave the binding masked and put the dark lacquer on, clear lacquer, to darken the gold to like a copper colour, and then we can take the masking off and do like the slightly more smoky lacquer sort of thing, just to darken the binding. So yeah, let's get on and do that, and yeah, we'll go from there. Thank you all. Well, hi there, and welcome back to this the all gold 53. The phone seems to be doing funny things, but I've sprayed 2 coats on now of tinted lacquer. First coat it wasn't dark enough, and I sprayed that with the same lacquer as I sprayed the other one, and the guy who saw that other one, who wanted this old gold one, said no, I want it a little darker than that. So like I say, I did my test panels wherever they are. You saw them anyway. Something like this. This is the old one I've done. I don't know where the other one is. And he chose a shade that he wanted, so I matched that. So first of all, I sprayed it with the darker lacquer that I had that I'd used on the other one. Then I went over it. Then I added a bit more brown dye to that lacquer. So now it's come out this colour, which I think looks fantastic. And all my slight concerns about patches that I felt I could have done better with the gold, the lacquer's just filled them in. I mean, there's 2 coats more lacquer now, and it's just, yeah, it's absolutely perfect. So here's the back of it. Just spin it over. I've got to be a bit careful because the lacquer's only been dry enough. But here we go now. It doesn't come out very well in the camera. It looks a bit blotchy, but it's not at all. I'll hang it up in a minute and then go round it, but believe me, it's a very consistent, even colour. So there's no problem with it. No problem with it at all. I'm well happy with that. I think it's more or less exactly what the guy wanted. Like I say, it's just getting this phone to like pick it up. So but yeah, that's great. I mean, you often get, I mean, I think because I'd finished the other one, you know, and polished it, then this one looked, you know, unlacquered and unpolished, just looked like, oh, it's not quite as good, but it's not going to be. So, but really happy with it now. And I think I like the darker gold. I think looks nice. I mean, it's not going to have this bridge on it anyway, but let's just get some pickup covers and bob them in. So, you know, I think this is going to look quite terrific. So here's the bridge piece as well. So it's going to be like that sort of thing. So I think that'll look really nice. Really pleased with it. It's come out good. And like I said with the other one, a lot of it is basically, you know, you get payback for the in a good way for like you know, all the sanding you've done previously. So let's get it hanging up. I don't like it like that. Here it is. Well, I'll do a walk round like this. It just, like I say, looking at on my phone, it just doesn't look like it does in real life at all. But so here we go. I mean, that's looking more like it there, sort of thing, on the good bits. And this, the back view actually faces up towards the light a bit more, so that gives a much better representation of the colour on the back. Yeah, that looking on my screen, that's a pretty good representation of it. So you get the idea. And you know, if we look up close, there we go. I mean, there's very, you know, with the lacquer on there, there's very few faults showing. But I've got masking tape over here, so that will come off now. And when we go over with clear lacquer, I'll try and do that tomorrow, depending upon the weather. But there we go. I mean, the only bit that I can see that there is some faults in the paintwork is just up here. But like I say, I can easily you know, that's in exactly a place where there would be natural thumb wear sort of thing, so not worried about that. But yeah, it's looking really nice. Yeah, that is quite a good representation of the colour. So there we go. I think so. You know, I'm getting a bit more relaxed about the paintwork now. It's always a difficult time. Yeah, I don't know, it just doesn't get a good picture from that side. But there we go. So thank you very much for your patience and taking a look, and then we'll get this one up to the same level as the other one. So here we are. Here's the gold in more of a like a direct light, and you know, it is dark and quite coppery, but I really like that shade. And like there's a fraction of the greening on here, you know, nothing too drastic, but I think that will look, you know, I really like that shade, and I've certainly seen Les Pauls very much on the copper side, the gold tops. But yeah, we'll see what it will turn out like, but I'm really kind of happy with that. So I think it's a lovely colour, should look good. Yeah, so there we go, spraying finished on this, apart from the headstock face, which I'll get done another time. So there we go, thank you.